What's up, guys? Coach Matt and YouGoProBaseball.com, and we're here with another Office Hours episode where I answer your baseball questions here in my office. And this question comes from Sugarfoot, and he asks, "Hey, Coach Madden, I throw a sinker, a four-seam, a fastball, two-seam fastball. I'm working on the EFIS. Please, will you do a video on slower pitches?" Absolutely, I would love to do a video on slower pitches. So first of all, let's talk about why slower pitches are important. They're important because our job as a pitcher is to disrupt the batter's timing and balance. So how do we mess up a hitter's timing? We throw fastball, right? Fast pitches, and then we throw slow balls, change-ups, off-speed, curveballs, sliders, whatever. We'll throw all of those pitches into the slower pitch category, okay? So a fastball and then a slow ball. That's how we mess up their timing, because if they're sitting on one speed or looking for one speed and we keep throwing that speed, we're not going to be able to mess up their timing. But if we mix that up and they don't know which one's coming, then we can mess up their timing. How do we mess up their balance? We could throw those pitches, those different pitches, different speeds of pitches, in, out, up, down, right? That's how we mess up their balance. If we bust a fastball in, right, they're not going to be digging in there ready to get that low and away changeup. Right? So we're messing with their balance right there. The opposite goes if we throw that low pitch first and then we bust them in, we're really screwing with them, right? So that's our job basically as a pitcher, is to mess up their timing and balance. And if we can do that as pitchers, we're going to be successful. Now, everyone throws a fastball, I'm assuming, either a four-seam or a two-seam. You said you throw a two-seam. Do you throw a four-seam as well? Yeah, you throw a four-seam and a two-seam and a sinker. But you need, you're working on the EFIS and you want to know more slower pitches. Okay, so you got an EFIS. Let's talk about, how about we talk about one breaking ball and one type of changeup, okay? So my favorite breaking ball is going to be a slider. I used to throw a slider. It was kind of a slurve, okay? You can call it whatever you want as long as your catcher knows what's coming and what it does, right? So call your pitches whatever you want. Just explain that to your catcher. So my slider or slurve was a breaking pitch that kind of broke. I always try to get more depth on it than side-to-side movement. So I always wanted it to move later, sharper, and more downward than sideways, if that makes sense, okay? So I would grip that pitch right here across the seams like this. Pretty tight, not a lot of space. I would have an angle on the ball to where most of the ball was on this side, right? It was coming out this way. So when I went to throw that pitch, I'd be throwing it like a fastball, staying here, and then I'd get around it and kind of pull it down on the angle that I wanted it to break. So now I wanted it to get more depth on it, so I would kind of pull it down this way, and it would have this spin on it, and that would take that ball and drop it down out of the zone that way. I threw it maximum effort. I threw that pitch around 72 miles an hour, and my fastball, my sinker, was 96 at its fastest. So that's, you know, what is that, 24 mile an hour difference from fastest to probably average. So if we go average to average, probably around 22 mile an hour difference. So that would be considered obviously a slow pitch. And that would be great because throwing that max effort, you know, it looked like something fast was coming. I didn't slow down at all. I threw it as hard as I absolutely could, and it would get 72, I think maybe 76 at its highest speed. So we're probably averaging around that 20 mile an hour difference. Now, if you're looking for a changeup, you know, changeup might be a little bit closer in speed, and you want it to look more like a fastball. That's where the deception happens. That's where you're going to get a lot of the benefit from a changeup. But you want to be more like 10 to 15 mile an hour. It's hard to get a changeup to be in that 20 to 24 mile an hour difference and still look good, you know, because at that point you have to slow your arm down a little bit. I'm not saying it can't be done. I'm just saying I haven't seen it done very effectively in my career. So let's talk about a changeup now. So that was my slider or my slurve. Again, you call it whatever you want to. But let's talk about a changeup. Now, everyone knows about the circle changeup, so I'm not going to talk about that one. I'm going to talk about a pitch that I threw for 1 year in pro baseball, which was called the Vulcan changeup, okay? The Vulcan I just gripped. It's almost like a split finger or a forkball, but instead of using these two fingers to split it, I did it with the middle and the ring finger. and I'd split just outside of the laces on the big horseshoe right here. I drop that pointer down a little bit. I drop that pinky finger down a little bit, and the thumb will go right underneath. And you can kind of manipulate how you want this pitch to move by how you turn your hand. If I wanted to get a little bit more downward and arm side movement, I'd kind of tilt it in this way when I threw it. If I wanted a little bit more kind of just like a shimmy drop, I would try to come straight through it this way. If I wanted it to kind of come down and move a little bit more glove side, I tilt it this way as I went to release. So you can kind of play with the release point of this one and get a little bit different movement. But this grip really helped me, because what I struggled with the circle changeup was the change of speed and deception of it. I was either getting good change of speed but bad deception, or vice versa, good deception but bad change of speed. So I could have good deception, but the pitch would only be 5 to 7 mile an hour difference, and that's not a big enough difference to fool a guy. It can be, you can get him off a little bit and get a ground ball, but to me, I just felt that pitch was getting hit a little too hard. And then when I did get that good change of speed, the deception was gone. They were just sitting on it, licking their lips and taking yaks on it. So I trashed the circle changeup. I did have some success with the Vulcan for 1 year, but I did switch from the Vulcan to a forkball the next year. I like the forkball a lot more, but the forkball isn't for everyone. So I would suggest trying out the Vulcan before you progress to the forkball. But it's definitely a pitch to check out. It's great for that change of speed that we're talking about, because again, at the end of the day, that's what pitching is all about: disrupting the batter's timing and balance. And there's two pitches that you can use as your slower pitches to complement your faster pitches to mess up those hitters' timing and balance. So I hope that answers your question. Thanks so much for watching. Hop down in the comments below. Let me know what pitches you throw, what off-speed pitches you throw, what are most effective to you, how you strike those batters out, and we'll talk down there in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and then go check out some of these videos I got for you. Got some good ones. I'll talk to you.